Hello, I'm Kirby Jacobson. Part 2, how to get the most resonance out of your snare drum. I have an array of snare drums that you can't see right now, but I will put them on the stand, on the witness stand. Let's start with a 3-inch piccolo snare drum. It's ringy, but it's just not going to resonate a whole lot. It's a shallow shell. It's got its purpose, but for our purposes in this video, how to get the most resonance. So this is not the most resonant. So I have a coated ambassador on the top and original head in the bottom. These old Ludwig heads are kind of like diplomats, more or less, in weight. And I crank that up a little bit so I can get more resonance from the top. It is what it is. Kind of going to the opposite end of the spectrum is a drum like this, a Ludwig symphonic drum. Rings for days. So, being an old vintage drum, I put a diplomat on the bottom and a coated ambassador on the top. These are brass rims. That helps too, especially with rim shots. Here's a much heavier drum, the Black Beauty. This one's very tolerant. This is very resonant shell, very tolerant of different weights of heads. So I've seen people put, power strokes on these, just the thickest heads possible. Practically canvas on the top of these things. And they still ring. They're still great. This one has an Ambassador X on it. It just mellows out the sound a little bit for me, and I get more of that focused brass tone. And the original head in the bottom. Not cranked too high. Okay, throwing back a few years, this is an old vintage drum, solid maple shell, and the edges are thick and round. So I put a diplomat on the bottom. I did have an ambassador. I ended up with the diplomat on the bottom. Ambassador suede on the top. Lovely. Again, it doesn't ring as much, resonate as much as the 6.5, but still just a wonderful sounding, warm, resonant tone. Speaking about warm, this is a warm metal shell, an aluminum, Ludwig aluminum drum. This has a diplomat on the bottom. This one I wanted more ring out of than just using an ambassadors alone. So I ended up putting a diplomat on the bottom here and ambassador on the top. But the diplomat gave me just a little more ring, especially when I cranked it up a little bit. And not too high with the tension here, kind of a medium low, and I got just the amount of resonance I wanted. And again, live with a ring, that can work great. And you can always add muffling to your taste. Similarly, this is the same shell, but chrome plated. A little more metallic sound. But the Super, this doesn't ring a whole lot either. The 6.5 that I have, fantastic, but this is shallower. I finagled this one a little bit, didn't ring as much as I would like it to. Most are happy just tuning it up, but I wanted more resonance, so I ended up putting, well, this is the original head too, and an ambassador on the top. And again, cranked up the bottom head a little bit for a little more tone and resonance. This is probably the least resonant shell. This probably needed the most help. An old Vistalite, and it had all the hardware off this shell, just a bare shell. When I tapped on it, it vibrated like wood. It had a lot of vibration, but it was just kind of dead. When you have a brass shell and you tap on it, it rings like a bell. It has a ting, has a tone to it. This one doesn't. So, wanting more resonance out of it, I ended up putting a diplomat on the bottom. This is great for helping snare buzz. No, it's not a diplomat. Original Ludwig head, cranked it up a lot. Very tight. Maybe if I take this off, that would be better, wouldn't it? So, I got some ring out of it, some resonance. I got a tone out of it. But again, the bottom head's just pumped, it's cranked. And I actually put a diplomat on the top, and that helped open up the sound a little bit also. And last but not least, this is probably second in the least amount of resonance. Well, not counting the piccolo, but a 5-inch shell. Slingerland drum. This one, for my taste, just doesn't have a whole lot of resonance to it. So this is an Ambassador suede, works well, not too tight, and a Diplomat on the bottom. Again, I put a Diplomat on the bottom and I cranked it up to get a little more tone and resonance. That's pretty much it. Oh, a word about internal muffling. I keep the mufflers on, but what an internal muffler will do is, if this is the head, the muffler hits it from the bottom. So when you strike it, instead of the head resonating, you're doing this to it. So you're kind of dampening it, and it gives you an unbalanced muting. Like, it doesn't mute all the full body of the sound at once. It takes away the ring, and it dramatically changes the rim shot. So probably not the best option. It's a sound. If you're mic'd, it's a sound. It's an effect. It can be cool, but in general, I don't use them. All right, I hope this video was helpful. Hopefully it gave you an idea of the possibilities and head combinations of different shells and thicknesses and depths of drums. Please check out my website. The link is below. Lots of info there, and links to many more videos, as well as where to find my published works. Thank you for watching.